the immigration consequences of criminal conduct is not logical. Sometimes something very minor would result in mandatory detention and mandatory deportation, and sometimes something very major is not even a deportable offense. The first thing I would mention to somebody who is not a citizen and arrested is
having worked on significant cases like Henderson versus INS and Calcano-Martinez versus INS, how do you counsel a non-citizen with a criminal background nowadays?
That's really a great question, and the immigration consequences of criminal conduct or alleged criminal conduct is an extremely complicated area, and it is actually the bulk of my practice. And by the way, I remember Franklin Henderson and DeBoris Calcano like it was yesterday.
It was just crazy. It's just crazy to know about these stories.
Because these cases came on not long after my Teresa case with Judge Wood, where a statute was found unconstitutional. And these cases were also done in conjunction with law professors and the ACLU. And Calcano went to the Supreme Court with another case that I wasn't involved with called St. Cyr. And basically what happened in the 90s, real quick, Clinton, both DeBoris Calcano and Franklin Henderson, when they pled guilty to their controlled substance crimes, they knew they were eligible for something called the 212C waiver, which was a waiver written into the law for people who had their green cards for 7 years and were convicted of certain deportable offenses. And it wasn't automatic. They would have to establish to a judge, in balancing the good things in their life against the bad, that it was in the interest of the U.S. to grant the waiver. So the bad would be the criminal history, and the good would be how long they were here, especially if they came at a young age, what family they had here, what kind of hardship they or the family would suffer if deported, work history, tax returns, community ties, property ties. There's a whole list. These 212C hearings would take a long time. Essentially, your life would be looked at underneath a microscope. So a lot of the things that citizens do, they couldn't do. Like, there's a lot of citizens that live in Section 8 housing and they're really not supposed to, or they're married and husband and wife file their taxes separately, both claim head of household. People in deportation or what are now called removal proceedings who are applying for some kind of waiver, they can't do that. They have to have everything clean. Anyhow, so they pled guilty knowing they were eligible for waiver. Newt Gingrich and the Republicans, the Contract with America, come out with two major laws in 1996, essentially taking away these 212C waivers. And Attorney General Janet Reno at that time, a Clinton appointee, she said that, that law applies retroactively, meaning that these people who relied upon pleading guilty, knowing that they could apply for this waiver, they can't do this waiver. And a lot of people were detained and deported between 96 and about 2001 or so when these cases went to court. And this was a continuation of my relationship that I had started with that Teresa case where the statute was declared unconstitutional, where she was sexually abused. With the ACLU and law professors, because these cases were grouped together. There was another one in there, Guillermo Mojica, who since passed away. So anyhow, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit said that it's obvious that the law can only be prospective and not retroactive. And then Calcano and St. Cyr went to the Supreme Court. This is where my partner was mad at me for not arguing the case. I gave it up to the ACLU, but they invited me to counsel Sable. So anyhow, how would I counsel somebody today? So the immigration consequences of criminal conduct is not logical. Sometimes something very minor would result in mandatory detention and mandatory deportation. And sometimes something very major is not even a deportable offense. determining whether an offense is deportable, we don't look at what the person did. We look at the language of the statute that they pleaded to. And if there is some conduct that you could be convicted of in that statute that is not deportable, then categorically the statute is not deportable. So the first thing I would mention to somebody who is not a citizen and arrested is you have to get separate immigration counsel, because criminal defense lawyers don't know. The Supreme Court in 2010 in a major case called Padilla versus Kentucky said immigrant defendants are entitled to know, but still people don't know because it's complicated and it's not logical, it's counterintuitive. So you have to get immigration counsel before you plead guilty. If your criminal defense lawyer is telling you, hey, this is a good deal. First of all, criminal defendants, they generally just want to know, am I going to serve time or not? Right? That's all they want to know. Can I avoid serving jail time? Am I just going to get a slap on the wrist, probation, something like that? And they don't, and sometimes something minor like that, oh, it's a misdemeanor. I can't tell you how many times people come to my office and say, oh, but Mr. Bretz, it's a misdemeanor. Misdemeanors count, you know, violations count. It's still deportable to be convicted of possession of marijuana. It's still a federal deportable offense. So the first thing is we look at the language of the statute. And the second thing is we have to compare it to the state statute to a federal statute. So it's a little complicated, but somebody who is, let's say, a permanent resident for 20 years, and now they're charged with, I don't know, some kind of assault. They got into a fight with somebody. Maybe they were defending themselves. Unfortunately, in most states, if you're defending the aggressor is not always the person who's arrested. The person who's arrested is the person who's least hurt. So somebody attacks me and I defend myself and the other guy's on the floor bloody when the cops come. I'm the guy who's getting arrested even though the other person was attacked. So you're facing some kind of assault. You have to get immigration counsel because as I said, it's really counterintuitive. You could wind up pleading to something minor and being subject to mandatory detention and deportation, even though you have lived here for 20 years lawfully. And you could wind up getting convicted of something major that has no consequence in terms of deportability.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And for people who are not permanent residents, it's worse. Right now, if you are a non-immigrant or you have no status or you overstayed your visa or you entered without inspection by crossing the border, any arrest will make you subject to a priority for ICE enforcement. So even if you're not convicted but you're arrested, you're going to be detained. Holy shit, right?
Holy shit is right. I do have a friend who is an American citizen who is a convicted felon who was traveling from a state back to another state within the country. And due to the current changes in the administration, she got detained at the airport because of her criminal record and was asked to prove her identity.
Right.
It's never happened to her after she did her time 15 years ago, I believe. And just a few months ago got detained. So yeah, wow is right.
Well, this is a segue into the rights that are being chipped away at for immigrants, segueing into citizens.
So do you think this strong stance on immigration will last beyond 2028?
Well, it depends, right? I do believe that if the Republicans stay in power, enforcement will be where it is now. However, at some point, they will have to find a legal pathway for immigrants to come here because we need them for our economy. And that's, by the way, that's the beef of all conservatives and Republicans. So, you know, my grandparents came here legally. Of course, my grandmother just had a make her way to Ellis Island, and they got welcomed. They didn't have to file for anything, right? So at some point, we're going to need to have a farm worker program and a seasonal worker program to bring people here and to fill our job needs. And I'm pretty sure that that would happen under any administration in 2028. Of course, the Republicans may limit the extended family, the petitions for brothers and sisters, those type of things might be cut out. But for working needs, they'll have something good. And if the Republicans stay in power, they will continue the enforcement. If the Democrats come into power, there will be some kind of amnesty. Nobody's going to call it amnesty. They'll call it comprehensive immigration reform, a path to citizenship. The last president who gave us that was Republican, Ronald Reagan, in the late 80s. And at that time, there was only an estimated 3 million undocumented people in the U.S. Now they say 11, 12, 13, and the reality is probably more like 20. But these folks are an integral part of our economy. I mean, they kept us going during COVID, right? Like, it's just insane, man. Yeah, if we do continue to have elections and the Democrats come into power, there'll be some kind of reform. And if not, we'll be where we are now with maybe some pathways for work-related needs in the U.S. to bring immigrants in.
Given the political divide that we have going now, if you were to snap your fingers to change one policy, just one policy in this immigration storm of a mess, what would that be and why?
That's easy. If not a full path to citizenship for all undocumented folks, at least the DACA folks, the dreamers, right? The people, the kids who came here, not of their own volition, because their parents brought them here, and they went to school here. Some of them want to join the military. Some of them have been able to join the military, but really, if you don't have status, you can't. Those dreamers, college, have debt from college. Those dreamers would be the first ones that I would say, here's your green card. And they are an important part of our economy. They grew up here, and they're all very nervous because DACA sooner or later is going to end and being chipped away at. So what do you do for those people who have been here 10, 20, 30 years since the time they were 2, 10, 12?
Establishing their own business too.
Business, education,
families,
research scientists,
fashion
families,
designers,
kids,
artists.
Their kids are already getting, scholarships and stuff. Yeah, if I couldn't do it for all undocumented people with maybe a longer path to citizenship, I would immediately take the dreamers, the DACA people, and here's your status. Thank you.
That's amazing. No, and thank you. Thank you for being you, Kerry. I mean, seriously, think about it. I mean, you were designed for this.
Are you stroking my ego?
I'm not. I'm so not. I'm literally paying you your respects.
No, I appreciate
because that is just something that when I do explain it to people, they can't, it's not, they can't see it. But when you actually see the person, this is the guy. This is the guy.
I love what I do, but
and I know
it's become very, very hard these days.
I bet. I mean, we're getting older. We're seeing things that we've never seen before. And as you get older, your heart gets softer. And, like...
We mellow out.
I personally cry with things that I'm seeing now that I didn't think I would. I mean, never seen it in the past, but I just, now I have so much more empathy, so much more understanding, so much more love for people's survival.
You've always been a compassionate person, though.
Yes. And you yourself have immigrant children. Being an American citizen, you have 3 kids that are immigrant children, 2 of your own and 1 that you adopted.
Yeah.
So what do you say to that?
First of all, I'm really proud of my kids. My daughter was born in the Dominican Republic. She went to high school up to about junior year there.
What's her name?
Brittany.
Brittany.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking for more of a Dominican name, like like DeJaneira, Jahaida.
Jakira.
Right. But her Dominican mother went ahead and
Give her an
said
American
Brittany.
name. Yeah.
And,
Brittany. Why not?
And so Brittany miraculously, after only being here for a year, her senior year, got a full scholarship to Vanderbilt.
Amazing.
Amazing. She's
Amazing.
pre-med, and it's a complete ride. And she's in her 4th year now.
Go, Brittany.
She's studying abroad. She's
Go,
going
Brittany.
from Amsterdam to Cape Town to Sydney.
Go, Brittany.
Comes back, she's going to take the MCATs, and she said that if she doesn't make a medical school in a city, because she can't take Tennessee anymore, she can't take Nashville anymore, I think she became allergic to country music. She said, if I don't get accepted to a school, cosmopolitan area in the city, she is either going to do a master's and then apply, which is a very popular thing for people who want to get into med school, or she's going to study abroad.
Incredible.
And because she's bilingual, she could easily study in Mexico. There's good medical schools there, and she wouldn't have a hard time taking the exam here. So that's my daughter, Brittany, very proud of her. My son, Kerry Jr., I did get the name right. He was actually born here, but his mom took him to the DR when he was 2. And I had a fight for custody for him, and you can imagine how difficult it is for somebody not born in the DR to take a child away from a mother. It wasn't easy.
Wow.
But she was really not a decent person, but just not capable. And so he's been here now for 2 years. He just graduated high school. He's got his lifeguard certification. And he is starting college, community college in New Jersey.
That's awesome.
And my stepchild was born here, but to Dominican parents, and grew up speaking Spanish more or less.
And this is Vladimir?
This is Vladimir, yep. And Vladimir is an extraordinary kid. He is a nerd. He's in Bronx Science of High School, which
That's
is like,
right, Vladimir.
Yeah, which is like, one of the hardest high schools in the country to get into. And he's also an elite athlete. He's a ranked judoka. And now that he's in high school, he loves wrestling. And I would be very surprised if he doesn't medal in the States this year. So he trains like crazy. He's jacked. I can't mess with him anymore.
No, because he's a grown-up.
He's a grown-up. He's jacked, and he's in Camino del Éxitos. He's on his way to success. So I'm proud of my kids, but they all have this immigrant story. So seeing like my kids, now imagine that all 3 of them were born abroad and came here when they were 2 or 3 undocumented. And they're having this success, but they don't have the lawful right to live here. And now they would be targets of this administration. And so that's why I'm passionate about, if you said there was one thing, the dreamers, the DACA people, because my kids could easily be in that circumstance. And why would we not want to hand them, forget about green card, hand them citizenship, because they feel like citizens and they are definitely contributing in positive ways. Why would we not,
It's crazy, right? And that, I hope, is a question that does get answered and resolved. Yeah. And you yourself have experienced it on the other side with another country, the immigration red tape that you get.
Yeah,
wow.
I did my Dominican residency and citizenship, and now I'm entitled to it. Not now, I've been entitled to it my whole life, to Irish citizenship through my grandmother.
Because you did the Dominican citizenship, or because you
No, because anybody who has one grandparent who was born in Ireland can apply for citizenship. So it's really tricky. So I had to get my grandmother's immigration records, where I saw the ship that she came over on, and the itinerary and what number she was given when she went to Ellis Island. And I hope I'm going to be able to actually get the Irish citizenship, because in getting her birth certificate from Ireland doesn't exist. What we got was, we know that she was born somewhere between 1890 and 1900 in this town in County Galway, but the records office burned down. But we certify that we know somewhere between that time. And my grandmother never told the truth about what day she was born anyhow. And in the immigration documents, when she got her citizenship, and I went through the files, there's like 3 different birth dates on different forms, something that you could not get away with today. So then I tracked down and I got her baptism certificate from County Galway in Ireland, and that has a more definitive date, but it still mentions the same 2 parents. So I hope that's going to be sufficient for me to say, yeah, my grandmother, Mary McLaughlin, is my grandmother, and I'm entitled to this citizenship. Yeah.
We love you, Mary.
Yeah.
Make this happen for Kerry, okay?
Smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
Love her. I love her. Right.
Live to be in her late 80s.
You get it? Like, you know, that was an incredible woman.
Yep.
That was really an incredible woman, and I do wish you the best for that. With that.
Thanks. Yep.
And thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you for answering the call.
Cool. You're pretty cool, Jair.
I'm pretty cool. Yeah. Thank you for answering the call, and you know, thank you for your loyalty, because not everyone is loyal. 25 years of me knowing this man.